and welcome along to another episode of Robin and Jane in the Stalls. Where have we been to this week? Well, we've been to the Grand Opera House to see a show that everybody's talking about. In fact, I think it's got to be one of the most anticipated shows of the year. Multi-award winning, it's won Grammy Awards, it's won Tony Awards, it's won Olivier Awards. Of course, we're talking about Dear Evan Hansen, but did it live up to all the hype? Jane, what do you think?
Yes, I thought it did, although it didn't have the sweep, the revolutionary sweep of Les Miserables. It didn't have the spark with Great Depression of 42nd Street. In fact, you couldn't help thinking at the beginning, what's a musical about an autistic boy or a socially anxious boy who writes a letter to himself? Can that make a musical? But my goodness, it most emphatically can. I've got three big fat reasons why, but I think what was impressive to me was that it's a sad topic. There is a death in it, a suicide actually. I came away uplifted because there is hope at the end. And that's one of the reasons I think it makes a good musical.
Exactly, and when you think about it as well, nothing much really happens in it, but it still holds your attention for the whole 2 hours and 40 minutes, doesn't it?
Well, it does. And I think there are reasons for this. The first reason is that we see the world through this troubled boy's eyes. We see him being bullied at school. We see him being pushed by the baddie, who in fact dies, Connor Murphy. We engage with his world, and that grips us from the beginning because we see him typing this letter to himself that his shrink has asked him to. And there's quite a complicated plot twist here, but in a mistake worthy of Thomas Hardy. In fact, it gets picked up by the baddie, Connor Murphy, and he seizes it. And after he's died, everybody thinks that it was his letter that he was writing to dear Evan, not Evan's letter to himself with a pep talk. I think the plot helps actually because the plot leads into a very happy period for Evan and he gets everything he wants. He's living the dream because there's this mistake and everybody thinks he was the friend of Connor Murphy, whereas in fact, we know he had no friends. He was Evan, no mates, and nobody would sign his cast except Connor in a rather defiant gesture. In fact, he is, as I say, he's living the dream. He gets the girlfriend, Zoe, that he wants. He gets the life he wants. He gets friends. He becomes much more confident. And we so want that to last in a way, but we know that it can't because it's based on a lie, the lie of the letter. And he gets his friend Jared, well, his family friend, not a real friend, to write false emails. And we know that it's all going to implode. And my goodness, does it?
Now, I mean, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, there is some humour in it. And then, of course, there is the music. And when you get a song like Waving Through a Window, that's the one, that's the earworm. That's the one that'll stick in your head for days to come.
It absolutely will. And I think the other thing, as we said, there's hope at the end because his mum comes good for him and realizes she hasn't understood her son. And she said, when the truth is out, all this will seem a long while ago in the future. You know, you will come through this. And she sings a song called So Big, So Small, saying she hasn't understood him. And that for me was one of the standout moments of the whole evening.
That was my standout moment as well. Alice Fern, who played Heidi the mum, we have to mention her.
Yes.
I mean, she's been in West End shows like Wicked, she's been in Come From Away, but this is her part. And when you talk about how to do acting through song, I just think that performance last night was a masterclass in how to do that.
It was exactly. And we must also mention Evan himself, Ryan Cobell. I think that was an outstanding performance. And when his voice sometimes broke in some of those songs, you really felt his pain. But what was interesting with the music to me was that the songs often are quite upbeat, apart from the one we mentioned. They have rising melodies and they fulfill the role of a musical, which is, as you say, to provide you with an earworm.
Yeah, so as well as Ryan and Alice, I mean, the whole supporting cast were amazing. The parents, Connor's parents, Lauren Conroy, who played Connor's sister as well, was amazing.
They were amazing. I liked Helen Anker as the grief-stricken mother. I thought she was brilliant. And Richard Hurst as the father. And I particularly liked the baddie, Connor Murphy, who acts the baddie alive and then afterlife as well. We see his ghost. Killian Thomas Lefebvre, what a name. That's possibly a name we may see again, I think.
Well, let's hope
He
so.
had
And I
some
mean,
oomphiness.
Yeah, and as well as the main cast as well. For the first time ever, they've had this ensemble cast on tour with them as well, and every single member of that cast were acting their socks off on stage.
Oh, they were, and they were dancing. And one of the things is that this is a high school musical. It certainly isn't Grease. It's much more realistic. They swear at each other, they push each other about, they talk rudely about parents and about families. In fact, they are exactly how teenagers would be. Obviously, the actors are a little bit older, but not too much older. And I liked that.
Obviously, a lot of people in the audience last night, a lot of young people, can probably relate to some of the characters in the play as well. And it's nice to see a kind of newish musical where everybody's not looking like John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, it certainly is. They were relatable, they were believable, and the audience were seeing themselves reflected back, which is one of the roles of theatre after all.
Exactly right. Other thing I loved as well was the backdrops and the use of the social media projection as well. And if you look closely when they're doing the shots of all the people from around the world, Angela Griffin in a Radio 2 studio suddenly pops up on the screen. How did she get there?
I don't know. She was obviously supporting the Connor project, which is this thing that they devise when the boy has died to remember him. No, I don't know how she popped up there, but there she was.
Right, it's that time and we've got to give our final scores now, what we thought of the show. As you know by now, we don't give the little star thing anymore. We give something relating to the show. And I thought today, since Evan fell out of a tree, I think we'll score in trees today. So yes, I've got some little trees standing by. So Jane, let's start with you. What do you think?
I think 4 little oaks, please. 4 trees.
Definitely, yeah. For the acting performances, for the music in the show, for just the music, the whole genius of how the show's put together as well. The writing's just amazing, and what an idea as well. I'm going to give it 4 little oak trees as well.
Absolutely. Go see it if you can, although it's probably sold out.
Well, that's the thing. There is another extra performance has been added Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock. So I know there's still some tickets left for that. So if you don't want to leave it too long, do go and see this show. It is worthwhile seeing. So Grand Opera House, it runs until Saturday. And as I said, there's an extra showing added at 3 o'clock this Friday as well. Jane, we're back in the stalls next week with the Velveteen Rabbit next.
Can't wait.
So we'll tell you all about that. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch, let us know your thoughts on what you've seen in the theatre. If you've seen Evan Hansen this week, we'd love to know what you think as well. And we'll see you next time in the stalls.
Bye.
Dear Evan Hansen, today is going to be an amazing day, and here's why. On the outside, always looking in, will I ever be more than I've always been? 'Cause I'm tapping on the glass, waving through a window. I try to speak, but nobody can hear, so I wait around for an answer to appear while I'm watching people pass. You will be found.